Okay, this is a tutorial on the creation of collision objects in models that you're going to use in Outerra. The goal for this bridge was to have a surface across which vehicles can drive, and also an opening under which boats can float. The current way that you see roads going across rivers in Outerra currently is that people just make the whole road go across, and Outerra fills in the area below the road. The problem is that it blocks the river for being used for any kind of watercraft traffic. So this approach will let you have a more realistic river road scenario where there are underpasses and overpasses. So basically, you create the bridge. This is sized for a particular location in Outerra. And this is what you see as far as the bridge itself is concerned. But I'm going to make the bridge, I'm going to turn the display so that it is ghosted shade mode so you can sort of see through it. This particular bridge has 9 different collision boxes. So I'll turn them on one at a time. And I could use the top of these as the driving surface, but I didn't want to get into a situation where maybe one was slightly higher than others and the vehicle would hit it. So I created a 9th surface just to be the driving surface. Now with this setup, if depending on how you use it, if something drives into the side of the bridge, anything that's supposed to be stone, it'll stop because the collision will stop it. If anything goes across the top, there's a surface for it to drive on. But underneath here, it actually creates an opening that other objects can pass through. So now in other software, like the animation software that I use, it would be possible to create railings on the sides. And the collision, because it doesn't intersect with the railings, the vehicle could pass through. Everything that I've tried in Outerra, as soon as I put railings on the sides, that creates like a bounding box in this whole area, even though I've got the collision is set lower than the top of the railings. So I don't seem, there may be a way to do it, but I haven't figured it out yet, so that I can go underneath the bridge and also between the railings. So the current working solution is to just make the top flat, and the top of the bounding box will not create an obstacle for vehicles, and the bottom of the collision objects will not create a problem for the anything passing through underneath like boats. Now the main requirement, there is an aiming requirement. It's if you're using a box, which I think for the most part is probably it's one of the most doable. It's easy to figure it out. It's got to be call _ box _ and then the name of the object that it is the collision object for. So this is the bridge. So it's call box bridge. And in order to make it compatible with other programs, I've added a number for each of these. But according to the documentation for Outerra, it looks like they could all be named exactly the same, just call box bridge. But I will probably be creating this for other software too, and most of the other software that I use requires each of the collision objects to have its own separate name numbered. So this is going to work. Once you create your collision object, then you export it. So let's get out of this now and open this in Blender. Okay, so in Blender, this is the same thing that I had in Silo, and as is the case with almost everything, when you import it, I believe this to be true. It's the first thing that has worked, and I've been trying to find something that would work for collision for a long time. And since this is the first time it's worked, I'm going to assume that this is necessary. All of the collision geometry, I made it the child of the bridge. So the way you do that is to hold Shift while you select each of the collision boxes. And then finally, when you select Bridge, the last thing that you select becomes the parent. So you can end Object, Parent, Object, Object. So now we see over here that all of the collision objects are child to the bridge. You see that when I click this, it shows the origin to be in the center, and that's not right. When I open Geometry Created in Silo in Blender, my original origins get lost. So I've got to restore the origins by clicking first here in the hierarchy, and then Object, Transform, Origin to Geometry. And do that same thing for each of these. That's absolutely necessary. I know this is boring, but it is probably necessary for some people to see. The only type of collision object that doesn't require the origin to be in the center of the object is the cone, and that requires it to be at the base. But since these are squares, cubes, boxes actually, we're going to put it back at the center. And then lastly, I'm going to put the transformation for the bridge itself to its center of mass. So then, having done that, come up to Export, FBX, Bridge, Export FBX. And that's all we need Blender for. Back in Outerra, to import it, Control F7, open FBX, Bridge FBX, open, and since none of this stuff is going to move, we just click the top of the hierarchy and create package. Import complete, close, close. Okay, so here I am in Outerra at a place where I've got roads leading up to a river, but I have no bridge. So I'm going to call it F7, Assets, Bridge, and probably need to rotate it a little bit. I wish you could make smaller moves. And it looks like I need to move it this way. And it looks like I need to tab and lower it a little bit. Okay, so now let's put a car on the road and drive across it. Okay, so we have started a car from one side of the bridge, driving it across, and you'll notice that it enters the bridge with no impact of any kind, fading out and coming back, bringing the car from the other side. And once again, from both sides, the bridge pretty much seamlessly accepts the vehicle's presence. And I've turned back and forth, and the car doesn't slide, so there is apparently traction on the bridge. This particular stream is kind of small for a boat, but I do have a duck that I can move as a watercraft, and we'll just follow the duck as it goes underneath the bridge. All we're trying to demonstrate here is that the collision geometry has actually created a vacant spot underneath the bridge through which physical objects can pass, whether it's a boat or a duck in this case. As you can see, the duck has made it through. Now we'll switch to the other side and send the duck back through to show that the collision geometry worked, and it does. So now that you know how it works, I look forward to seeing more bridges in Outerra.